Hi OGs, welcome back to On God with me, Welheminah, someone of mindful, heartful and purposeful conversations. If it is your first time here, you just find yourself a community of believers who are doing life with Christ one stumble at a time. And if you have been rolling with me since episode number uno, you know how it goes. I super duper appreciate you. Thank you so much for holding space for the girl, as the girl has been holding space for you. Let's get social and interactive. Follow me on Instagram as Welheminah_s, on TikTok Welheminah_Simona, and of course on YouTube. If you have not subscribed, come on now. Does a girl need to beg? Does a girl need to sign an affidavit? What does a girl have to do to get you to subscribe? But yes, please do not forget to like, comment and share, especially if this episode has blessed you in one way or another. Guys, I'm back to my natural hair. I loved how everyone, like the energy around the big hair, like everyone loved it. And I was like, yes, girl. When you're the front. I was like, I'm so happy that everyone is like out and vibing with the hair, but let me tell you, it's a bit much. It's not heavy, but it's much, like in the sense that, hey, yeah, go. Are the curls okay? Are my locks showing? And remember, I didn't like plait my hair because my locks are like bob-ish, as you can see, bob-ish. So when I put on the hair, like the locks just disappear under the hair. But sometimes, there's just one little sneaky link that just goes like, boop, and you're like, what's this behavior? What's going on right now? So today's episode is a bit of a special one. And it's special because it was inspired by another podcast that I was watching. And the intensity or the way in which that podcast impacted me, that particular episode, I felt it was very important for us to talk about it. Of course, it's none other than one of my favorite podcasters out in the game right now, baby. It's Keke Palmer. I don't know if you guys saw that interview of Keke Palmer with Mama Oprah. With Oprah Winfrey. Man, what a beautiful episode. And the fact that I was watching that episode and all I could do was cry. And let me tell you, since that episode has come out, I've watched it over and over again. Because one, it's been a minute since a podcast in particular has blessed me in that way. Articles I read, all these things I read, but that episode, man, I was in tears. And here's why. I'm going to tell you why that episode did something for me, right? Before watching that episode, there was a sermon that I watched by Bill Johnson. And basically, he was talking about how you need to go about life looking at things like having a lens of hope, right? Whatever season, whatever circumstance, whatever situation, always wear the lens of hope when you're going through whatever, right? Then he says something very important to the extent of there's going to be a day where you are just believing that whatever it is, like whatever vision God has shown you, like you are just believing in it, like in total abundance. Like you just like, this is going to happen. This is for me. When that day comes, it's very important that you write everything down, right? You write whatever it is that you're strongly believing that the Lord is going to do, because there's going to come a day where you're going to feel the exact opposite of that day, where you're like, he's not going to do it. I'm behind. I'm never going to make it. Wada, right? And when that day comes, you need to go read whatever it is that you've written on the day where hope was covering you, right? So, silly me, after watching that sermon, I'm like, you know what? Let me get into the thick of it. Let me write. I try writing, and as I'm writing, I can almost feel the Holy Spirit saying to me, what in the safe prayers is happening here? Like, why are you writing things you are not even believing in, one, and things that feel so safe because you can do them in your own human capacity? Batong Luna, there I was, I stopped writing. I'm like, okay, it's fine, let me stop writing. Let me wait for a day where hope is going to hold me hostage. Fast forward to a week and some change. That's when the episode with Keke and Oprah drops. Guys, the first time I watched that episode, I was crying. Oh my God. You're talking to me, Oprah. I'm crying and crying. I'm pausing in between. I'm throwing myself right in the episode. I'm answering certain things that Keke is asking Oprah. I'm commenting on certain things that Oprah is saying to Keke. I'm like, it was a whole thing. And then right there, in the middle of that episode, The day that Bill Johnson was talking about had finally arrived for the girl. I paused and all of a sudden I wrote the wildest dreams I've ever had concerning the things that God has showed me, whether concerning the podcast, whether concerning my career in broadcast one day, whether concerning my writing, concerning the fact that I want to get to do my master's, concerning the fact that I want to relocate to the UK one day. There I was. I wrote it like it is going to happen next week. That hope that covered me, you guys, I was like, yes, it's going to happen. It's coming. What? And I pause again and I'm taking it in. I'm like, yes, this is the day. And then I continue watching the episode. That was the first time I watched that episode. And then I kept watching it over and over again when I was at work, on my commute to and from work, when I get home and I'm trying to curl my hair and I'm having it. I have been like, baby, if Keke could come out of that podcast and be like, girl, it's enough now, I wouldn't fight her, because that's how much I have been watching it over and over again. I do absolutely implore you to watch that episode. I'm going to try and add a screenshot at the bottom and you just watch it, and I hope it blesses you in the same way it blesses me. So what I did, because I've rewatched it over and over again, is pick up a whole lot of nuggets. And the nuggets that I picked up from that episode, I tried to put them in a way that I know, one, are going to bless me, and two, I need to share with my fellow brother and my fellow sister who's on the other side of the screen right now, right? So this episode, based on the nuggets that I got from Keke Palmer's interview, is basically an episode about faith, about hope, and about how to be arrogant when it comes to your dreams. Let's get into today's episode, because baby, this is inspired by Keke Palmer. Nailed it! So one of the first things that I took away from watching that episode is that you need to know what it is that you want in life. Once you have figured that out, baby, you have sought out at least 80% of your problems. Whether it's knowing what you want in love, whether it's knowing what you want in your career, whether it's knowing what you want from life holistically as a person. What kind of person do you want to be? What kind of hobbies do you want to take part in? Like, who do you want to be? And once you have that locked down, you guys, you have solved at least 80% of your problems. Why? Because we talked about this in one of the episodes where we were talking about becoming, right? That we constantly are becoming, and we never become, to a point where we never even know when we have become, right? Part of knowing what it is that you want is that it's going to be easy for you to know when you have arrived. When you've arrived at the love, when you've arrived at the career, when you've arrived at the woman or man you want to be, right? So that is the beautiful thing about making sure that you need to know what it is that you want. And another benefit of knowing what it is that you want is that when anything comes that is not what it is that you want, it's easy for you to say no to it. When opportunities present themselves that have nothing to do with the person you are trying to become, whether career-wise, whether as a human being holistically, or even in love, you are able to sniffle that out and be like, this is not what I want. And I think about this in the context of love, right? If, let's say, for example, a rough one, if I say, I want to marry an Italian man who is in the business field and has an MBA from Harvard, right? If I know that and I'm sure about that, it becomes easy for me when anything else comes that is not Italian, that is not from Harvard, that is not in the business field comes, it's easy for me to say, no, I don't want any of that. And I don't care what anyone says. It's not easy to figure out what it is that you want. And I think that is the problem that we have. We have a not knowing what we want problem, and not necessarily that God doesn't want to bless us or we don't know what it is that we need to start doing, right? Because when you're able to narrow down what it is that you want in life, you literally start operating in life with that end goal in mind, right? I recently figured, like after that interview, like I said, I sat down and I said, okay, step by step, write down what it is that you want out of this life thing. And part of it is I would really love for the podcast to be big one day. I would really love for me to get my master's so I can finally pivot into academia, and then get my PhD, just be a lecturer, you know what I mean? I would like to, start another business and see how that goes and. And I recently prompted Chat and I said, Chat, this is the kind of life that I want by the time I am 40. What is it that I need to do today to get to that place when I'm 40? We sometimes think the next step is to do the big thing, right? You have to do the big thing so that you can get to the big thing that you want to get to. But Chad gave me a simple answer, especially concerning the fact that I want to pivot into academia. Chad was like, baby doll, just start writing more essays and publishing them. Get into the mindset of being a researcher, which is easy because I already enjoy reading other people's articles and coming down to my own conclusions. So it's like, start doing that. Publish them if you can. Find out if there are any extra lessons that you can take here and there, right? So you need to know what it is that you want so that you can be able to go after it. You need to be as arrogant as you're going after this particular life that you're wanting for yourself, right? I was talking about how there is a certain level of Lulu you're going to need to get into, especially if you're going to walk in the will of God, if you're going to walk into the promises of God, because sometimes what God promises you is bigger than you can even imagine. It's bigger than anything you can even ask with your own lips. So that's why he gives you a glimpse of that vision. And then he says, this is what it can be. But between now and then, what is it that you are going to do? You have to be willing to go after the life that you keep imagining for yourself. Otherwise, do yourself a favor, get rid of the desires if you're not willing to walk into it, because you're just hurting yourself. And I read this somewhere, right? I read this somewhere where they were like, if you can't sacrifice, compromise, and step into, the things that you need to do for you to get this life that you are imagining, then it's best you stop imagining this life. It's best you stop wanting this life because you're not willing to do anything. So that's one of the first things I picked up from that interview. You need to know what it is that you want so that you can solve a plethora of the problems that you think you have. So after you have figured out what it is that you want, from that episode, I picked up that, baby, you are going to have to bet on yourself, and you must aggressively believe in all of your fiber that the things that you want, the place that you are going, where you are headed, you are actually going to get there, right? You need to take ownership of your dreams, take ownership of the story, take ownership of the vision that God has shown you, especially concerning the things that you want, right? And the reason why I say take ownership is because to everyone else, you are just a big dreamer. To everyone else, you are just ambitious. To everyone else, you are just talented, right? But to you and your God, you know exactly where this journey is leading you, right? In the interview, Oprah spoke about this in the context of when the tabloids were just eating her up, man. They were just eating her up, and she would call one of her mentors, Maya Angelou, and she would just call her crying, oh my gosh, what is happening, da 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 da. And Maya essentially says to Oprah that, listen, these people are nothing compared to the light that God is holding in front of you. To them, you are just a story. You are just a headline, right? You are just another deadline to meet. Oh my God, Oprah made the front pages. But between you and your God, you know there is something bigger at play. Take ownership of the vision that God has shown you. And the reason you need to take ownership is because the very same people that are going to say you're ambitious and they don't believe you're going to do the impossible, or, oh, you're going to do it, but there's just that, slimmer of doubt. They are nothing compared to the vision that God has placed in front of you. They are nothing compared to the dreams that you have and the work you have to put in, right? I was telling Silo at work the other day, I'm like, oh man, I woke up this morning and on Instagram, I lost like 75 or more followers. That is so crazy, right? And I wasn't saying it from a point of concern or a point of, oh my gosh, what's happening? But I was saying it from a point of, man, do those 75 people know that they are missing out on so much good content? Not necessarily that they have to listen to me, but like the Lord is just speaking through me. But none of that compares to nothing. None of that compares to what God has called me to do. 5 years down the line, it's not going to matter that I woke up one day and I lost 75 plus followers. Because the people in and around me, no matter what they say, no matter what they do, no matter how they behave, they are nothing compared to the light that God has shed in front of me. Whether or not my friends are supporting me, whether or not my family is supporting me, whether or not my colleagues are supporting me, they are nothing compared to what God has called me to do. Be yourself, do yourself, show up for yourself, bet on yourself. You need to aggressively show up for this version of you that has already come in agreement with what it is that they want from this life thing, that have already come in agreement with God based on the vision that God has shown. And most importantly, what I picked up from the chats with Oprah and Keke was that you're also going to have to be very unapologetic about the person that you are becoming in order to get the things that you are praying to God for. Be unapologetic in the sense that show up aggressively. If someone says something negative, you need to defend it. And not defend it from a point of fighting them, but defend it from a point of, look, you don't know what my God is capable of. Third thing is that life is going to deal you the exact cards that you need right now. Oh my word. When she said this, she quoted a line from a book that she read, but obviously I'm just putting it in my own words. But word for word, what she said was that every experience that you're having right now, you need it. Yours is to understand, why am I going through this? And I find that very important when she said that, because I'm like, one thing about God, He will not allow something to happen to you if it's for your detriment. Right? I always say, if me losing my sister was going to be the unraveling and the unbecoming of my sanity, God was not going to allow that to happen. But yet He did. Right? Life is going to deal you the cards that you need in that particular season. The experiences that you are going through, whether it's going broke, whether it's being heartbroken, whether it's being isolated, you need that experience because it is going to do something for you. So pay attention to your life. Pay attention to your life, because sometimes the experiences are repeating themselves. It's the same patterns from people, just in different trousers. It's the same lyrics, just in a different tune. It's the same professional traumas, just in different contracts with different letterheads. Pay attention to your life. And part of paying attention to your life is being so absorbed in yourself that you can be able to tell that, why is this thing happening? And what is it revealing about me? Not even the next person. I want to talk about something that Oprah said. She said she went through a time where she was going through a breakup with this man who was leaving her because Oprah thought she was special. And Oprah's like, I chased up to this man and then I was holding on to the bumper. And, obviously holding on to a bumper, baby doll, you're going to have to leave it at some point, right? And Oprah said, I had to come back and ask myself, what is it about me that I keep letting this poor, pathetic life experiences from men happen to me? Why do they keep repeating themselves, right? And I think that is testament to everyone, even to me. And I always talk about how, like, my relationship last year, I always go back to the fact that what is it about me that allowed all of that to happen? That allowed that low human experience to happen to me, that allowed that unbearing, nerve-wracking, nervous system detangling experience to happen to me. And that's why this year, in as much as I'm in my singleness, guys, like I'm very peak on it, right? But every now and then there's always going to be a counterfeit that tries you. And the fact that I've already absorbed myself to understand and unlearn whatever it is that baby doll from last year was going through, I sit across these men and I ask the questions without watering myself down, or my faith, or my standards. Because if it wasn't for that experience, I wouldn't show up the way I'm showing up at these dinner tables to tell people where to get off. Instead of crying a river, oh my gosh, why is this happening to me? Ask yourself, but what is it showing me about me? Every time you think it's about the next person, oh, they treated me dirty, oh, they betrayed me, or they lied to me, oh, they fired me, or they do that, and it's happening over and over again. Instead of crying a river, find out, but what is it about me? Do I always lower the standards? When I'm in the boardroom, do I not negotiate the way I want to negotiate? Life will deal you the cards that you need in that particular season to prepare you for the next one. Fourth thing that I absolutely loved, and it was very affirming to me, was that be diligent in your matters. Be intentional, be very serious. And the reason I'm saying it was very affirming to me is because Mama Oprah says something so important in that episode. She says one of the reasons why the Oprah show did so well and was number one for 25 years is because she was very intentional in the topics that she wanted to cover on her show. She said if she didn't find a bit of truth or a thread of herself in the topic, she's not going to do it. Because believe it or not, you guys, it's always easy to see when someone is faking across the camera. And that's one of the vows I took with myself when I started this platform. I said, you are never on God gonna talk about anything that you have never been through. There are some episodes, guys, well researched, but I have never recorded them because I'm unable to find myself in there. I remember Pastor Mpoma Gwabeni, one of the first few times he called me concerning the podcast when I just started. He said, I love this platform. I love it, and it's so different because what's different about you is that I see how you put yourself in the scriptures. You put your life in the episode. You put your experiences in every sentence. And I said, that is the kind of vow I took. So when she said that, guys, I felt so affirmed. I felt so seen. I felt so supported, and I'm like, nothing says I'm on the right path than hearing like a media mogul like Oprah saying the same strategy that I thought about in my own little house, she also implemented it to make sure that her show was successful. And I know I have to be diligent in these matters, you guys, because at the end of the day, you guys carve out 20 to 25 minutes every single week to listen to me yap. So I need to treat this like I am being of service to you. I don't want you to sit after 20 minutes and you are like, man, what was she yapping about? Right? That's not the kind of content I'm trying to put out there. That is me showing up and being very diligent in these matters, being intentional, showing up as if everything that I prayed for concerning the podcast is already happening. I know, and this is for someone else. We need to stop playing with the things that God has blessed us with. We need to stop playing with our talents. We need to stop playing. We need to show up. Because all you have between what you want and you taking it seriously and you being diligent with it and intentional is faith. Faith is what you have between you and the vision, between you and the dream, between you and the thing that God showed you is going to do for you, between you and the desires, between you and the things of God. Faith is all you have. So show up with intention. Stop playing with it here. Last thing that I want to talk about, and this one was so personal for me because I have found myself exercising it in one too many ways, right? Is shame and watering yourself down. Now, Oprah spoke about it in the context of relationships, and it's true. I've shown up in some relationships where I had to water myself down because I'm like, I don't want them to think I think I'm special or that I'm better than them or that they don't deserve me, right? Around the time Oprah was dating the bumper guy, she was already like a local news person. So she was a bit popular, right? And when this person was, and when this guy was leaving Oprah, he said, the problem with you, baby doll, is that you think you're special. And Oprah was like, no, I'm not special. I'm not special. I'm not special, right? And I'm thinking of a time last year when, you know, when this dude was just like, you are high maintenance. And I'm just like, no, I'm not. No, I'm not. I'm chilled. I'm chilled. I'm easygoing. But I am. I have expensive hobbies. I'm a girl who loves fine things. Maybe not to the point of where someone can be like, oh, you are materialistic. But I do love nice things. I love smelling good. I love sleeping in quality bedding. I love eating good, healthy food. I love, buying things that make me happy. And they just happen to be expensive. But I watered myself down. And I see that even in the context of my dreams. I'd have conversations with people and they'd be like, so what do you do for fun? I'm like, oh, I have a little podcast. And they're like, what's the podcast about? And I'm like, oh, it's a faith-based podcast. And they're like, baby doll, if it is a Christian podcast, if it is a Christian podcast, it's not a little thing. Don't shame yourself. Don't shame yourself because of the big dreams that you have. And we are always about to shame ourselves because you had this big dream of moving to New York, of moving to Germany, of moving to whatever city. You had this dream of being a millionaire, of starting this business, of already being a movie star. But you are now so ashamed of saying it out loud because, but look at where I'm at. Do you not know the kind of God you serve? Do you not know He is the God of suddenly? So that is essentially all the things that I learned from that episode, and I absolutely encourage you guys to watch it. And maybe you might even pick up different nuggets that you can absolutely comment under this episode. You have to believe that the things that God told you are for you. There are so many things I can talk about from that episode that Oprah mentioned, you guys. But you know what? I might just go over and above and beyond, and I do not want to do that. If this episode has blessed you in one way or another, please do like, do comment, do share, do subscribe. But most importantly, if it has blessed you in one way or another, baby, you better go check out the Keke interview. But otherwise, stay mindful, stay heartful, stay purposeful. From me, it's love and light.